Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. Jamie. Hi.
Yeah.
Fine. Oluwatoyin Mobadije.
Yes, sir.
You're so relaxed. You're so relaxed as if you don't have any problem at all.
I have.
What's your problem?
Yes.
Afternoon. So, and Afamefuna, there are two of you. The other person should be paying for training as well.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. All right. So, are we ready for today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So, what are we doing today? Today, we're taking it easy. Slowly, we have 6 months to assess, and we must ensure that you assimilate as much as you can so that at the end of the 6 months, you should be what I need you to be. Not just cloud engineer, but also a DevOps engineer. All right, so we're starting from the basics, from the elementary. So today we're going to load a virtualization software on our laptop so that we can convert our laptop to some kind of mini cloud and be able to do at least part of the things we should be doing in cloud. We start with our laptop. And then after we are used to that, we understand all of that, then we'll move to the next level of going into cloud proper. All right, so I'm still admitting people in, so there's a bit of discussion. So the way to start is to explain some basic concepts you should understand. Where is so you're still seeing this announcement? These people should forward their name, phone number, and email to this number. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about is virtualization software. So there is a software you need to download to your laptop so that you're able to convert your laptop to a virtualized environment where you can run multiple machines on your laptop. That kind of software that you need to download is generally called virtualization software. Virtualization software. Now, there are 2 levels of virtualization software. You have type 1 virtualization software. You have type 2 virtualization software. The type 1 virtualization software, I need to explain it so that as an IT person, you can converse, even though we're not teaching you the details. You go for, even when you're interacting amongst your colleagues, they are talking about type 1, type 2. Everything I'm explaining, you should know about them. So it's part of the training. So type 1 virtualization software, you see, when you order a server, you have a laptop, and you do not have an operating system on that machine. So instead of calling one server, calling one laptop, calling one client, I just call all of them generally machine. When the machine is real, it's physical, like your laptop, you can see it, I call it host. But when it's not real, it's virtual inside your laptop. It's not like physical. I call it virtual. So now you understand the meaning of virtual machine and host machine. So virtual machine can come in 2 forms, or specifically virtualization can come in 2 forms, type 1 virtualization and type 2 virtualization. Type 1 virtualization is you have a machine, you have not loaded an operating system on that machine. The first thing you load on top of that machine is your virtualization software. In other words, you are loading the virtualization software on top of your machine hardware, on top of the metal. Therefore, that type 1 virtualization software is called bare metal virtualization software. So it's not resting on an operating system, it's resting directly on the hardware of your server, of your machine. So those kinds of virtualization software are the kinds of software you need to learn if you are going to work in a data center. Because in a data center, you have your bare server. You need to put a virtualization software to make it available for everyone to use. So the kind of virtualization software they use in cloud, like Amazon Cloud, Google Cloud, what's the third one? Microsoft Cloud. That kind of virtualization software is type 1 virtualization software. Why? Because it is resting directly on the meta. You put that one first before you put your operating system on top of that. So that is type 1 virtualization. Type 2 is the one we are going to look at closely. Type 2 virtualization software, first of all, you already have your machine and you have your operating system on your machine. Your operating system could be, in this case, Windows operating system. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 9, Windows 10, Windows, whatever the name it is. So that's the common operating system that clients use. So in this case, you have a Windows operating system already on your laptop. And then on top of that Windows operating system, communicating with your hardware, you are now putting a virtualization software on top of it. So it's not type 1 that is resting directly, it's type 2 virtualization software. We'll be looking at type 2 virtualization software. An example of type 2 virtualization software is Oracle VM Virtualbox. It's a VirtualBox manufactured by Oracle, developed by Oracle. So that's why it's called Oracle VM Virtualbox, Oracle Virtual Machine Virtualbox. So what does that do? It basically creates a new environment entirely on top of your existing operating system. That new environment allows you to create as many virtual machines as your resources can carry. So it is on these virtual machines that we'll be creating that will practice what we'll need to understand IT generally, and specifically in this case, Windows Server Administration. All right. Any question on that?
We're fine.
Everyone is fine? Let me look around. Everyone looks fine. All right. So how do we download and load our virtualization software right away practically? So this is what we need to do. So let me share my screen now so I show you how to do that. But before then, let me close what you are seeing now. I'll close this. I'll reduce that. Then I need to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Share screen. Okay, I got it. All right. So this is what I do. People are waiting. Let them in. Obafemi, Emmanuel, Henry. All right. So we load our browser. In this case, what's my browser? Whatever browser you use, Chrome. And then I Google for, let me load Google. Are you seeing my screen? My Google screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
So what am I looking for? Type 2, type 1? Of course, take your time to look to take a deeper dive on these things I'm explaining. Type 2 virtualization. Okay, so another name for virtualization software, instead of calling them virtualization software all the time, in fact, the real name for them is hypervisor. Hypervisor. So what's hypervisor? It's a virtualization software. What does it allow you? What does it let you do? It lets you create multiple virtual machines out of a single host. So you have a host, one physical machine, then you can now create multiple virtual machines out of that. So in this case, I'm going to type, I'm just playing around actually. I know what I'm looking for. But even if you type 2 hypervisor, it will tell you what type 2 hypervisor is and all of that. But specifically, and of course, if you scroll down and look around, you are going to find the different types of type 2 hypervisors. And then, of course, your interest is the one by Oracle, because that one you don't have to pay any fee. It's genuinely free of charge, and it's easy to use. So let us look for Oracle Virtualbox download so that we can download it, and that is easy link. All right, still simple. You are still getting it. Everything fine, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Need bad months. What's the reason we want to download? What are we going to do after we successfully download Oracle Virtualbox? Need bad months. That question was for you.
We install, sir.
Sorry?
After downloading, we install.
What's the reason we are going through all of this? What do we want to achieve?
After we download, we install.
That's not the answer to my question.
After we download, we install.
Okay, who knows the answer to my question?
So that we can have
to create multiple.
that we can have
virtual machines.
Sorry, Chiedu, what did you say? Why the delay in hearing you? Okay, who?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we are downloading because
so we can be able to create a virtual machine.
Okay, create virtual machine from where?
So we are downloading because we want to
create virtual machine from where? Anybody can answer.
On the laptop.
Okay.
When we download and install, we'll be able to create virtual machines
from hypervisor, sir. From the
so that we can use the hypervisor to create virtual machine from what? Okay, when I'm asking question, what I'm looking for is for you to use the terms that I just explained. So if you are bringing your term from, I did not mention installation. Well, maybe I did. But anytime I'm asking you a question, please put this at the back of your mind so you'll be able to answer my question the way I want to hear it. I need you to use the terms that I've explained. I need you to use the terms to explain how you understand it. Do you understand me? So if you are giving me answers outside of the context of what I need you to know, I'm not taking that answer. You may be correct, but that's not the answer. So use the terms that I've explained to give me answer. All right, so now that you know what I expect, Joseph Yakubu, the reason we are going through all of this process of downloading and installing Oracle Virtualbox is so that we can do what?
So we need to have like an enterprise infrastructure for us to learn all these skills.
Oh, you are doing explanation?
Yes, sir, I'm trying to explain why.
Go on. Okay.
Yeah, so we need servers and we need client machines. So we need to use the hypervisor to be able to create the virtual machines because we cannot physically have them. Each of us cannot physically have a server and a client. So we need the hypervisor to give us that environment.
But you still use terms that are
learn the skills we need.
Yes, correct. You're actually correct. But my fear now is we are losing some people who have not heard some of these terms that you mentioned before. You have impressed me, but you have not impressed them. So come down to the level of what our primary one level. All right, so we can come to simple level and just explain what he said. Anybody, fast, so that we can move on. So because this is apprenticeship, I'm not rushing you. I need to make sure you understand everything that's coming from me. So bear with me if you're already an expert. Yeah.
Is to create a different virtual machine from a single host.
Correct. Who was that?
Kanayo speaking.
No, that's okay. I've already got the answer.
Kanayo speak.
Kanayo, okay. Kanayo has mentioned virtual machine, has mentioned host, has mentioned multiple. That's what I want to hear. That's what I taught you. He learned that here, not what he brought in. All right, so now that we know the reason we are coming here, so let us go and download our Virtualbox. Apart from Oracle Virtualbox, there's also another kind of software that does this, another kind of hypervisor at this same level of type 2. It's called, it's developed by Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft, generally, all hypervisors, all softwares manufactured by Microsoft on hypervisor level is called I remember now.
VMware.
Sorry? Don't worry, I'll get to it. But again, we are sticking with this because Microsoft might trick us to do some subscription at least some money.
VMware.
All right, so what did you say, Okpeyemi?
I said VMware.
Yes.
VMware for Microsoft.
Yes, VMware, that's right. Microsoft VMware, that's the general name. Then the specific one that is equivalent to this one is Workstation Pro. Microsoft VMware Workstation Pro. So there's Microsoft VMware different kinds of virtualization. So whether you are working on your laptop or you are working in a data center, you are working in a mini data, there are different kinds of virtualization that fits them. So the one that fits, the elementary one, the small one that fits what we are doing, the Microsoft equivalent is Microsoft VMware Workstation Pro. All right, so the question could come in the form of, do you know any hypervisor? Any type 2 hypervisor? Yes, name 2. So now you are not restricted to just Oracle Virtualbox, even that's what we are using. You also know about Microsoft VMware Workstation Pro. All right, so let's go on. So what operating system are we using? Because for type 2, you have to have a running operating system. So we're using Windows operating system. Our host is running Windows operating system, right? So we'll take this one. Our host is running Windows operating system. So we'll take that for our download. And then it's downloading. Look at it. Can you see my cursor, my mouse, my pointer? Can you see my pointer?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So it's downloading. That's how to download.
So what if our host is using the iOS platform?
Then you click iOS. OS.
Okay.
If your host is using OS, you click OS. If your host is using Linux, you click Linux. If your host is using Sun Solaris, you click Sun Solaris. But again, at this level, you don't know what this are, so don't worry about it.
Yes,
So,
just
Windows host. All right.
Once they create, I'll do a transfer.
So Windows host is downloading. Now, we are done with downloading. Anytime you download, please mute yourself because you have background noise from Neil Badmos. So anytime you download, unless you specify, you specify the folder it should go, normally your downloads will go to a folder called downloads. Okay, you didn't create a folder, it's already there, the system created it. So go to your downloads folder and you'll find your download. This is what I just downloaded. Virtualbox 6.11. All right, so once it's downloaded, you double click it. And by the way, you'll be doing a lot of downloads from the internet. All the resources we need that you normally should go to Computer Village to buy, we'll be downloading all of them directly from internet. So that's how to download. Anytime you download, the place it is downloaded to by default is your downloads folder. Just go there and look for it. All right, so I double click and I load. I say next, 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 next until I complete the loading and it's done. The reason it's telling me, do you want to repair or do you want to remove? Is because I already have one there. So it's not allowing me to load a new one when I have an Oracle VM Virtualbox already loaded. But in your own case, because you do not have an Oracle Virtualbox already loaded, it will show you next to load it. And all you do is just next, 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 next test, and then it is done. That's called wizard, installation wizard. You don't really need to know anything. Just next, 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 and it's done. All right, so with that one, everyone now knows how to install software generally, and specifically in this case, Oracle VM Virtualbox. Any question? Now, after you have loaded successfully your Oracle VM Virtualbox, the icon will show on your desktop somewhere here, like this, like it's showing here. The icon will show on your desktop. It will show somewhere. So look for the icon. In this case, this is my own icon. I moved it from my desktop to my taskbar, and I click it. I say, yes, I want to load it. And then it's loading, it's loaded my Oracle Virtualbox, Oracle VM Virtualbox Manager. All right, so this is it. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Go ahead, we are fine.
All right, who is Lenovo? Lenovo, please change your name to your real name. I don't want to see Lenovo. And I still don't want to see that fire something. Lima Whiskey, okay. Fireflies, who are you? Can you hear me, Fireflies? Your name here shows Firefly. Who is Firefly? I've asked that like 30 times now. So it's not safe for me to assume that that person is not part of us. It's just hacked.
I think maybe remove the person if the person wants to identify him.
Yeah, I've given you all the time to identify yourself. You still did not identify yourself. So I'm going to have to let you go now. Thank you very much. So if you are real, then you can always watch the video later. All right, so we've removed fireflies. And then whoever is coming in, show me your real name. So we know that you did not breach any security protocol. All right, back to class. So that is how to load operating system, your hypervisor. All right, so let's proceed. Let's create our first machine on our hypervisor, our first virtual machine. All right. So the reason I have 1, 2, 3, 4 is because I already have 4 virtual machines on my hypervisor. So I have one hope, my laptop, and I have 4 virtual machines created. Linux. So they are all Linux. All right, because I teach this in a different class. All right, so what we want to do now is create our first virtual machine, our first Windows virtual machine, because we'll be using Windows in this class. But before we create our first Windows virtual machine, there's something we quickly need to do. Once we create the machine, we have the virtual machine, the computer. It's actually a computer. That virtual machine is a computer. We'll call it virtual machine. Once we create it, we need to put an operating system inside the virtual machine. I can't see myself. Where am I? All right. So we need to put an operating system inside, because without operating system, your virtual machine is just a piece. It's just a machine, just like a blender. It is the operating system that runs it, the hardware working with the software to form your computer. So without your operating system, your machine is not complete. It's far from complete. So anytime you have a machine, in other words, anytime you have the hardware part of your computer, you put an operating system for it to become a computer. So where's the operating system we're going to put? We need to go back online and download our operating system. What operating system are we using for this environment? Actually, that guy was right, because we already know what enterprise environment is. So the guy who tried to explain using enterprise environment was correct. But my assumption is, I forgot we had a class already. So you do know what an enterprise environment is, but we're not creating that enterprise, a virtual version. We're going to create a virtual version of that physical enterprise environment. And because it's a virtual version, we will not call it enterprise environment. We'll call it virtualized environment. Maybe you still want to add enterprise, but virtualized is the key word there. All right, so how do we download? We go to Google. What operating system are we downloading to be able to practice this? We are downloading Windows Server.
Windows 10. Okay.
No, we already have Windows 10 on our host. We're downloading Windows 2016 Server. That's what I need you to download to be able to practice everything we learn. Windows 2016 Server. All right? So this one is say, download from me. I have it. I said, well, I don't trust you. And because you're advertising, I'm likely to make some payment. So let me look for a free one. Windows 2016 Server. All right, so I just scroll down and I see Microsoft. Microsoft is the owner of Windows. What better place is there to load Windows than Microsoft's website? So I go there to Microsoft site, and then I scroll down and I see different versions of Windows. Windows 2016 180 days evaluation copy. I take that. I take the ISO, not the Azure. All right, so I say continue. And then I complete this form. What's my name? What's my company? What am I? Just nothing serious. Just to come. Right. So I scroll down. What do I have here? Nothing else. So I say continue. Please select language, English language. Then I download. So it's downloading now. Look at it. Do you see my mouse? So that's how to download Windows Server 2016 image file, ISO. Image file is like the CD. that you run. So by the time you complete that download, you now have the operating system ready that you want to put on the virtual machine that we're about to create. It's no use creating a virtual machine when we don't have an operating system to put inside. All right, so that's that. So now that we have our operating system downloaded, in another 8 minutes, that should be fully downloaded. In your case, it could take up to 30 minutes or even 1 hour. Please just be patient. You could do it overnight, but you ultimately have to have it downloaded. Christian OJ is coming on board. All right. So now that we have our operating system downloaded, so what do? We'll go back to the virtual environment and complete the creation of our virtual machine. Now this is how to create a virtual machine. We'll go to machine and we'll say new. New machine, new. What name do you want to call the machine? Let's call it a server operating system or server 2016. Any name is okay. Let's just call this one. No, because there are so many servers, let me call this Windows server. All right, Windows server is a good name. Windows server, what is it? What operating system is it installed in Windows? Windows what? Windows 2016, 64-bit, always 64-bit. Windows 2016 does not work on non-64-bit. Now, if you have any problem practicing these things like I'm showing you, if you run into any problem, take a photo of the screen and paste it on the forum. And then I'll come up, somebody will come up and say, oh, the reason you're having this issue is because of this. And then we can recommend, go and do this. All right? Did you get that? Not hearing you.
Yes, we got it.
Okay, you got that. So I'm saying that even though we're running it here smoothly, because I've done it so many times, I've made the mistake that you'll be making and I've corrected them. It may not be smooth when you are running your own. So when you are running your own and it's not this smooth and you have problem, contact me on the forum. My items, put the problem there and I'll come there and support you. Support means I'll help you resolve the problem. All right.
But sir,
Yeah.
I just need a clarification. Your own, what's the size? I'm seeing 6 point something gig here. Is it the same thing?
Where are you seeing 6 point something gig?
From the Microsoft site, the Windows Server 2016. I'm seeing
that is the size of the download.
Yes, the
yeah,
size of the file.
Yeah, is it too big for you?
Not too big, but the way your own downloaded within that shortest time. My own is
You don't know where I am.
Do you want to compare the internet service in USA with Nigeria?
You thought I was in Abuja with you. All right, so that's by the way. So we now complete that form and then we'll click next. All right, so it's asking you, out of all the 32 gig, of your hosts, how much space do you want to assign to this virtual machine? So you can determine here, oh, 2 gig is okay, or no, 4 gig or whatever. Whether you want to reduce or you want to increase, you can do it here, or you can move that. You say give it 22 gig of RAM or whatever. But ideally, 2 gig should be enough. Ideally, it will just take what is enough. It will, by default, it will take what is enough for itself. All right, so just leave it there. Say take 2 gig of my host, and then you say next, dynamic. So what about the hard disk space? Out of your 2 terabyte of hard disk, it's taking 50 gig for itself. Okay, that's no problem, take it. And then you say create. So it is done. You have created a virtual machine. In creating a machine, the three resources that you determine are, that you should be determining are the CPU, the RAM, and the hard disk space. So we've assigned 50 gig hard disk space, 2 gig RAM. The CPU, we can't change it. It is taking using the CPU of our host. So it's not like we have options about CPU that we say, okay, take the one running at 2 megahertz or the one running, no, it's the same. So that's why they don't present us with the option of choosing CPU. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Let me find out if you got that. Where is Imisi Olua?
Yes,
Imisi
sir,
Olua?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here,
To
sir.
determine, to estimate the capacity of a host machine, there are 3 factors that I must consider. There are 3 resources that I will ask you. Once you give me those 3 resources, I'm able to estimate, okay, your host is powerful or it's not so powerful. What are those 3 resources?
3 resources.
Now you know you need to be attentive, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I said that before. All right, so I'll just Henry Ayoro.
Yes, sir.
So what are those 3 parameters to consider to determine the capacity or how powerful this machine is?
Okay, honestly, I was multitasking here in the office. But I know it's the
We have 2
RAM.
Henry here. There's Henry. Are you different from Henry Ayoro?
I'm the same person, sir. I joined with my mobile phone because I'm listening with it while I'm using the webcam on the laptop. So
Why you're using the laptop?
You can see me. So you can see me that I'm live.
Okay. So you don't have the answer. Okay, who has the answer instead of moving from person to person?
No, I'm saying that if it's the RAM on the hard drive and then the processor.
And the CPU.
Okay. So processor, he calls the CPU. The same thing. Hard drive. Well, it may not always be hard drive. So generally you call it storage. So whether it's whatever kind of storage it is. So storage is a better word. So the storage, the processor or the CPU. I think processor is a more common. And then of course the RAM. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Basic things you should know. Before the interview even starts at all, if you don't know these things, you're already written off. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
I came in late. I don't know if this has been discussed. I remember the time I was working on an Oracle project, we had to go and enable some VM on the motherboard of the system. Do we need to do that also for this?
When you have that problem, come on board and then you can we'll direct you.
So that means it's not by default.
By default, you should be able to do things, but if it's not set by default, bring your problem. Because there are many issues you could run into, so we can't begin to take them one by one when they have not occurred. But when they do occur, we'll provide the solution. So the warning I gave there was that you're actually drawing us back. I already gave that warning that you run into problems. You might run into problems when you are doing this. That we are there to support you. All right, so we'll solve the problems only when it shows up. All right, and if you don't practice, they will not show up. So you think you know it. You will not know it until you practice. So back to class. So we have our virtual machine now, right? Where's the virtual machine we just created? Windows Server, that one? Sure. This is the one we just created. I had this one before. This is the one we just created now. All right, so let's move on now. So the next thing we want to do now, the machine, please mute yourself. The machine is powered up. Thank you. The machine is powered up. Oh, I thought that person muted himself. Please mute yourself. You are distracting the entire class. You are disturbing actually.
Me, Badmos, mute yourself.
All right. So, so the next thing to do is we click the machine and we say start. We start the machine. We start the machine. So the machine is starting. It's coming up for the first time. Why is it taking that long? Are we doing something wrong? All right, so the machine should be starting. No, that's unusually long. Oh, it was right here. Okay, it was hiding. What I was waiting for was already there, but hiding in the background. All right, let me close all these windows. Let me close that. Please take this note. Once a machine starts and I do not do what I'm supposed to do immediately, that machine is not likely to work again. A new machine. Let me go back there. I load mine. I close that. All right. So let me try one more time. This is the machine now. I've closed the windows that was hiding behind. All right. So I click start. All right. So this comes up. Now you would see this problem. Once you didn't do it the first time, you see this problem, no boot medium fan. So this is a problem. So to correct this problem, since we are still new, we have not even done anything, we're just trying to load. The best thing to do is remove this machine completely, delete it. So I use this opportunity to show you how to remove a machine, how to delete it. You click remove, and then you must click delete all files. Don't go and say remove only, you'll have problems later. Delete the virtual machine along with all the files, all its dependencies. So click that, and then the machine is gone. All right, so now that the machine is gone, let's quickly create a new one. New. What do we call it? Server Windows 2016. And then when you are creating a new one, try as much as possible not to use the same name that you used the last time. Use a different name. Windows 2016 Server. That's a different name. The Windows operating system, and it's built on Windows 2016 64-bit, right? Next. That RAM space is okay. That hard disk space is okay. Create. It's created now. So we start it. And then this is what comes up. This is what I expected to see. All right. So what is it asking you? It's telling you this machine you are starting does not have an operating system. You want to put an operating system there now? You say yes. So this is how to say yes. You click the yellow box, and then you click plus. And then you look around your, what did I say? Your downloads go to, your downloads folder. Go open your download folder and look around for that operating system that you downloaded. In this case, this one. This is what we downloaded now, today. All right? You click open. All right? At this stage, you can just click choose, but let's just look around to be sure that it's actually highlighted. Look at it, it's highlighted. So amongst the possible operating systems I can download, this is the highlighted one. The Windows Server 2016 Data Center Evaluation copy. All right, so I choose that one and I say start. All right, so you need to be careful there. It's easy to miss it there. Once you miss it there, you just be going round and round. You'll not make any progress. Be careful there and make sure you get it right. So what are we doing now? We're now loading Windows 2016 Server operating system into the virtual machine. All right, next, install now. All right, so that's going to take a while. We can take question while we wait, and then let us admit this person and that person. So the next thing you want to do, the next place you want to be careful is here. Here, don't take standard evaluation. Take standard evaluation with desktop experience. All right, that's what you want to take because you need desktop experience. All right, after you select that one, make sure not the first one, the second one. In this case, you say next. Okay, all your long terms and conditions, I accept them, and then you say next. This is another place to be careful. Don't just say upgrade. You are not upgrading anything. You are doing a fresh installation. So you say install Windows, fresh installation. Remember to take the second option. and then you say next. All right. So that is it. It will install. Because it's installation, it will take a while. While that is taking a while, what questions do you have? Wow, it's good to see that almost all of you are in class today. Awesome. So 32 out of, I think I have a total of 33, 34 persons. So that's good.
It just means that we are not joking with the class, sir.
Yeah.
All
And
of us are ready to become your
I'm not
interns.
joking with you too. I'm not joking with you. You guys, I'll do
The
all my.
office real.
And then I found a solution
I had
to the
to run
problem.
out of office to come and attend the class, so maybe I cannot get the bounce.
All right. All right. The God who you in hiding will reward you in public.
Yes, sir. You are about to say something.
Yes, I was about to say that instead of having the lectures on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, let us have the lectures, where's mine? Let me see myself so that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I deliberately chose that Sunday so that in case you miss Tuesday and so that please mute yourself. Mute yourselves. So I deliberately chose the Sunday so that if for those that would work will not allow to be active, I mean participate actively, not just the recorded copy. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you will be part, at least you will not have reason not to be part of the Sunday. So I really need to see all of you here so that I can feel you. So I dropped the Thursday and replaced it with Sunday so that even if you missed the first two classes, you should be able to be part of the Sunday class. So we're not going to have lectures on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. So the Sunday class will be mostly for taking questions from you, getting feedback. Oh, from the Tuesday and Thursday class, I tried to do this, I could not do it. So I'll be there on Sundays too. It will still be lecture, but instead of teaching you something completely new, I'll first of all hear the issues that you had. And then we'll trash all the issues, make sure everybody is happy before we now learn something new on that Sunday. All right, is that fine?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's fine. That's a very good one.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fine, sir.
That's a good one.
That's beautiful. I thought so. So I'm happy you agree with me. So the only thing
you, sir.
is agree, because I know I know what you do on Sundays. Agree on a suitable time on Sunday for all of us to meet, know ourselves, ask questions, and all that. So it may not be regular 3 o'clock. If regular 3 o'clock is fine, oh wow, it's beautiful for me. That's my 9 o'clock. It just makes the rest part of the day available for me to do other stuff. But if it's not convenient because you go to church because you have other engagements, social engagements, then we can put that time in to suit you. So let's leave that to tomorrow, and then by tomorrow we should know for sure when we are meeting on Sunday. All right, so there'll be no class on Thursday. Instead, there'll be class on Sunday. All right, back to class. Oh, this one is still loading? That's it taking time. All right, so while this is loading, let's take your questions. There's nothing we can do to...
Hello, sir.
Listen. Yes, please, go on.
Yeah, for the hard disk space, I don't think the hard disk on my laptop is up to 2 terabytes. So is 50 gig not too much for me to choose when doing?
What are you using? What's your suggestion?
I said my laptop.
You don't have you can't assign 50 gig to this installation. What can you assign?
That's what I'm asking. I think my hard disk is not. It's just I have to check, but I know it's not up to 2 terabytes. So that's the reason why I'm asking for a suggestion.
Now. 2 terabytes is 50 gig out of 2 terabytes. It's not even up to 0.05%. So you don't
that's
need
what I'm
2
saying.
terabytes.
That's what I'm saying. For your own laptop, you're choosing 50 gig. So how many
I'm throwing the question back at you now. What can you afford? I'm saying give me $50,000. You say you don't have. What do you have?
Maybe like 20.
Now you have answered. You can give me $20,000, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So minimum for server would be something in the neighborhood of 35 gig. It doesn't have to be 50, but you have to make it up to 35.
So I have used 25 and it's worked.
Oh, it worked? Okay, beautiful.
Yes,
beautiful. Who was that? Anne?
Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. All right. Uyo knows how to manage things. So once you, they recommended, like somebody found out in the other class, they recommended hard disk space by Microsoft for, storage space for server 2016 is 35. But if you don't have enough, if you don't have 35, try your style. Uyo used 25 and it worked. So try 25. But that doesn't mean that at interview, if they ask you, you say it's 25. They recommended is 35.
Okay, sir.
But if it works for you, why not? Just keep managing as long as it's working for you. That's the cool thing. So we've answered your question, Oluwatosin. All right, this one is still loading, so we're not wasting time. We're just waiting for it to complete installation.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Please go on.
All right, sir. When you want to start your Virtualbox,
okay,
you told us that there's going to be a pop-up dialog box, and if we don't respond to it immediately, we might lose the machine we just created. Now, I would like to ask two food questions, sir.
Okay.
While we are working subsequent times, we are going to be starting this machine whenever we want to work on it. Is it likely that we are still going to be having pop-ups when we have already uploaded our Windows server?
No.
Or there are other pop-ups that we will need to address immediately so that we don't lose what we've worked on?
No.
Or is it just
once it's already installed, it's a one-time thing at the beginning. Once it's already installed, you don't have that same problem. You could have different other kinds of problem, but not that same problem of losing your VM because you did not attend to it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So right here, he's asking us, I'm going to create an administrator for this server. So what should the password be? I'll give it a password. And then I'll confirm that password. And then I'll say finish. All right. Installation continues. And then what do we have here? Okay, so let me minimize this. It's not as if I see myself anyway. Okay, let me maximize this. So do you see the screen now fully? You see our new Windows installation?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so it says press Control or Delete. So if I press Control or Delete from my keyboard, it will control my host. It will not control this machine. So the Control or Delete for this machine, you get it from here. Input, keyboard, Control or Delete. All right. And then I enter that password for administrator. And then the installation continues. And because it's the first time, it's going to take some time. All right, questions while we wait for installation to complete. Installation is actually complete. Well, this is actually the configuration of your installation now to suit your exact situation.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Philip.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Sorry, in the course of running the Virtualbox, I encountered a challenge. My system is a 64-bit, but among the list, 64-bit is not inclusive. So I went ahead and I chose 32-bit. So everything ran to the end, but when I wanted to start the server, it's popping up a message saying failed to open a session for the virtual machine server 2016. So I don't know where the problem could have been.
Yeah, the problem is Windows 2016 is a 64-bit operating system, and you are using 32-bit. It won't work.
Okay.
It won't work. And you say your architecture is a 64-bit build, right? But you are not seeing it there.
Yes, sir.
So you need to go and tell the system, use your 64-bit capabilities. To do that, what operating system are you running?
I'm on a Windows 10.
Okay. To do that, restart your Windows 10.
Okay.
While your Windows 10 is coming up, while it's booting, as soon as you start it, keep pressing F10 on your keyboard, the F10 key,
okay,
intermittently. And then it should take you to the setup, the CMOS setup, the BIOS setup. It takes you to a place different from your operating system. It's called BIOS setup. Within your BIOS setup, just look around, just check everywhere, configuration, system time. Somewhere you should see something that tells you about virtualization. There should be something to tick to say enable virtualization. So you are telling your motherboard and your processor to welcome and enhance the feature that would enable the entire system recognize Windows 2016 server. So once you enable virtualization there and you repeat this whole process, you should be able to see 64. So that's what the other guy was talking about when he said they tried to load Oracle and they had to do something.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll get back to you on it, sir.
All right. So if you did not have that problem and you did not present it, you will not learn that. If you didn't practice and you don't run it, if you don't practice and you don't run into problems, you will not learn. You will think that because I am doing it and it's so easy, it's always that easy. No, it's not always that easy. You have to practice to make it easy for you. All right, good. So back to class. Are we going to do networking here? No, I don't want us to do networking. I want to teach you everything about networking from scratch. So I'm going to say no, don't do anything for us. So we're done. We have installed our Windows server. But the way it's looking now, it's just occupying one tiny space. Why can't it fill the entire screen? I don't want you to get the feeling of, this is second-hand machine, because no. Let me do something to make it fill the entire screen. So this is what I'll do. I'll go to devices. I will insert my CD. So it's just like pressing my CD-ROM drive and then put my CD there. So once my CD is there, what's the next thing I do? I go to my CD. I hope you are seeing me. You are seeing the screen. You see my mouse moving?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
All right. So having inserted the CD, I go to my CD, I open it. Where's my CD here? Let me open this PC, I'll find it. So this is my CD, I open my CD. And then I see Windows additions. Look at it there, Windows addition. So I click Windows addition. And then I just double click. So it will run that Windows additions and load the drivers that I need to complete all the installation, and especially make this screen cover the entire space. All right. So that is loading. And once that is loaded,
You clicked on don't install.
Did I click on don't install?
Yes, sir.
Oh, really?
Setup was not
You
completely
clicked on
successful.
don't install.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back. Additions, next, install, right?
Yes.
Okay. So where did I click don't install? Oh, here?
That pop-up, yes. Yes, sir.
Should be install.
Yes.
All right, so finish. And then you just restart for all the loaded drivers to be activated. So that's about all as far as installation is concerned. What's the 9:57. Oh, we've done just 1 hour, right? We have a full hour.
Yes. So,
all right, so we have this now, but it's still not occupying the screen. It's still not taking up the whole space. So we'll just keep clicking maximize until it does that. Maximize. What's happening? There's something missing. Something is missing. There's a window that I closed. Let me restart the machine. Another thing I can do is I'm just trying to make this screen cover the whole space. Okay, let me log in. I've not logged in. That's the problem. So Control or Delete. Where do I go to do Control or Delete? There, right?
yeah.
And then I see. All right.
Input, keyboard, Control or Delete. Password.
Yeah. All right. So this is what was missing. I didn't get it because I didn't log in. All right. So I logged. Now that I'm logged in, let me. Okay, it's covering everywhere now. All right. All right. So that's the installation. So we are ready now to begin to use Windows 2000 Server. So we have a machine now that we want to use to. All right. So before we start to practice, which may not be today, let me just make sure that you understand the little we have done so far. All right. So let me bring up my notes. I have a note of what I expect you to know by the end of today. Let me bring it up and use that one to find out if you do know. If you do understand what we do. All right, so share. Share what? Share this. All right, so where's my note for Windows class? Do you see my note? Do you see my note?
No, sir, we don't see anything.
Not yet, sir.
Okay, don't see it. Thank God you are not seeing it. All right, so apparently there are some things that I jumped, so we still have time. I would just make sure I go back to the basics and teach you those things. But we'll just cover the main thing we should be doing today. All right, so we already talked about network infrastructure, and you mentioned some. Please mute yourself if you're not talking. I actually asked you in the last lecture, and you're able to mention some elements, some components of network infrastructure. Somebody mentioned servers, computers, cables, switches, routers, gateways, access points. Yes, they are all parts of the.
Mr. Nee, mute yourself now.
Always mute yourself, Nee Badmos. Don't keep disturbing us. All right, so you already know that. And then another thing you should know, in addition to the virtualization that you already know, is that for small offices, networks are not always enterprise level networks. There are also small networks within your house, within a place where security is not really important. Because we talk on enterprise networks, that's where we start to talk about security. So for small office, home office, otherwise called SOHO, you can network and do stuff without mentioning any of the terms that we are referring to in this class. So there is small office, home office, there is enterprise networks, there is virtualized networks, the virtualized environment, and then there is cloud. Again, we already talked about the difference between, the relationship between virtualization and cloud. All right, so it's not completely new. So these are the things that I need you to understand. I'm just revising. Okay, you already understood that. And then you know that a single host can take as many virtual machines as its resources will allow. And you know that by resources, we are referring to the CPU, the processor, the RAM, and the storage. And then, of course, you know that virtualization, like you already said, is the foundation of cloud. All right, we talked about type 1 hypervisors and type 2 hypervisors. And we said type 2 hypervisors are our concern. There are generally two types. The ones manufactured by Microsoft called VMware, and then the ones manufactured by Oracle called Virtualbox, which is the one we are using now. That type 1 hypervisor would be installed on bare metal. Type 2 hypervisors are installed on top of operating systems. Okay, you already know all that. So I think you're up to date. Now, if you feel that there is something I feel you know that you do not know, you can now ask questions. Know that by virtualization we have okay. Note that by virtualization we have converted the system from hardware infrastructure to a file, which is saved in a storage device. All right. Download and install Oracle Virtualbox. I asked you why. You told me why we're doing that. All right. I think you are up to date. You know everything that you should know. You know everything that you should know. Network infrastructure, load server call.
Sorry,
No.
I want to ask you a question.
All right. Let me take your question. Yes. Yes, who is asking question?
Sir, please, I would like to ask a question.
Go on, yeah.
I still do not really get the understanding of this small office home. Yes.
Small office, home office.
Yeah, the ones you just listed now. Like, I'm trying to I really don't get. I really don't understand them as such.
Okay. Now, in class, when we're talking about router, for example, in class, the router, what else? Okay, router is too big. We're talking about server in class. We're talking about Windows 2016 server with all the infrastructure that we're going to learn. But when you go to a cyber cafe environment is not as complex as we are discussing in class. In fact, their server may not necessarily run a Windows server operating system. Their server could be running a third-party server, just some application that has simplified everything we are doing. Yet, that is a network. When you have a network in your house where you have you connect your modem to your own laptop, and then not even to your laptop, you connect your modem to a Wi-Fi access point. And then through that Wi-Fi, the internet is now available in your entire home, and your household members can access internet from wherever they are, from the garden, from the bedroom, from the living room. That's also a network. But there was no Windows 2016 server anywhere installed there. So that kind of small networks where that is not as complicated as the things we'll be learning here is called small office, home office.
Okay.
As compared to the kind of network we are studying here, which is enterprise network, where we have to say, Niye Badmons or Bafemi Adekoki should not be able to access the network today, block them. Or Oluwatosin Mabadeje should be able to access the network, but he should not be able to browse the internet. That's a more complex network than the other general kind of network. So we refer to this network where security, because all this idea of allow him do this, don't allow him do this, all of that is under security. Where security is now a major player, a major consideration, that kind of network is called enterprise network.
Okay.
So for banks, bank is saying, oh, I learned that the best trainer in the world trained you, so you must be good for this contract. Come and help us set up this network so that we're able to share internet. You are not thinking of small office, home office network for that bank. You are thinking about enterprise network for that environment. So that's the difference. Good question.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. So there are different kinds of networks in terms of what they can do, in terms of what you want them to do. One is small office, home office. Just share it. It doesn't matter who has access or who doesn't have access. But there's another type where it matters. In fact, you have to design the entire network and tell me what and what you are going to make possible before I give you the contract. That is enterprise network. All right. Tunde Akonde.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tunde Akonde. Where is Tunde Akonde? So I remember.
She's good, sir.
All right. Now, Tunde Akonde.
Sir.
I'm thinking of setting up a network in my home so that my printer can be accessed from anywhere by every member of my household. All right. So what kind of network should I think of? Is it an enterprise network where I'll have to go and do training to understand Windows 2000 server and how to configure it? Or will a simple small office, home office network do where I may not even install a server operating system at all? What should I consider?
Small office, home office, sir.
Correct. That's the idea. All right. So I take this same question to Moyosori, Baye. But this time, talking about I'm not talking about my house. I'm talking about setting up this same kind of network for Zenith Bank. So am I still deploying the kind of network infrastructure that Tunde Akonde deployed, or am I looking at deploying enterprise infrastructure?
You will need to deploy an enterprise infrastructure.
Correct. Correct. So you are
because of security.
Yes, because of security. Yeah. Oh, Moyosori is you are the wrong person to have answered that question. Moyosori is an expert in these things. All right. Okay, so any more questions? All right, so if there are no questions, let's proceed then. Let me teach you. We already know what we should know today. I don't know how we did that. Ideally, this should take us 2 hours to do. Are you sure we're not losing somebody? Maybe because we already had a class earlier. All right, so let us proceed. Let us do something with the server we just created. Let me minimize this.
Sir, if I may ask,
yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, you may ask.
I just want to know, like, is the class planned for how many hours each day?
2 hours.
Okay.
2 hours a day, yeah.
Okay.
So have we done 2 hours already? Not yet.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Take a look at your handbook. You'll find that information there. You have the list of. Did you see the list of people that have not that will not be able to see this video after we post it online? This video is not publicly available. It's available only to my items, and there are about 5 people who will not be able to see this video online. Imisi is one of them. I pasted the name earlier on. So, I mean, I posted earlier on. So if your name is there and you have not sent in your name, your phone number, and your email, I will not be able to add you so that you'll be able to see the group. All right. So.
Hello, sir.
Okay, let me just mention those names because taking time off to go and copy them now. Give me 1 second. Let me just quickly load that file and mention those names. The names of people who have made payment, but because they have not sent their info, they are not able to join. They are Orebode, Samuel, Ayomide. Are you here? Philip Ochoyade. Philip Ochoyade, James. I need you to send your email and phone number to that.
I'll do that, sir.
Suleiman Garba.
Yes, sir.
you need to send your email, your name, email, and phone number to that number. You know the number?
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise.
I'll do that now.
All right. Imisiola Obafisuyi. I already told you you need to send your email address, your
Yes, sir.
name
I've
and
sent
phone
all
number.
of them to your WhatsApp, sir.
All right. Then Ajiroba Boyega. You need to do same. These are the 5 people. So once you do that, then we are good. Everyone is good to be able to view the video. And then when you view the video, you cannot take time to make notes from at that point. All right, so that's that. Questions? Yeah, somebody had a question. Did I interrupt you? Please go on. Or did we already answer that question? All right, so let's come back to class then. So let's view these things bigger. So view.
Sure.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you talked about the group, the WhatsApp group.
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to disband it and organize it in such a way that we will have access to.
I've already done that.
Discuss. Okay.
So the people, we don't have the old group anymore. So if you're not part of the new group, then you should be part of the new group. But we need everyone here is part of the new group, but we need your email address and those information to be able to give you access to the video.
It's like I'm finding it. So I will just send it now. I'll send my details now.
Okay. All right. So now let us promote this server to domain controller. I think that's the first thing we should do. Let's promote this server to domain controller. Are we able to finish that? Yes, we still got some. Let's promote this server to become a domain controller. Can you see my server?
Yes, you can see it.
All right. So to make this server a domain, what's a domain controller, by the way? Now we want to set up an enterprise network. In Windows, that enterprise network is called domain. Domain. So instead of saying in Windows that we want to set up an enterprise network, what I should be saying is we want to set up a domain. To set up a domain, we need to set up a domain controller. And this server will now be promoted to domain controller. To do that, we say add roles. In case that one is not showing, in case you come to a server where this one is not even showing, and you don't have anything to click, you would, let me remove this so that, what can I remove this? Hide. Close that completely. All right, so the place it will be hiding in case it's not showing will be here. All right, so you click that and then you see server manager. Server manager will bring it. All right, so the one that I hid, I didn't mean to hide that one. I need to bring that back on. I don't know how to, I don't think I've hidden that before. All right, manage, somehow we should be able to find it. Add rules and features, all right? So that's what you click, next. All right, read this so that you understand what they mean, but for me, it's just next. So what's the question now? Is it the first thing to do? Okay, let's go. Select a server from the server pool that you want to make domain controller. How many servers do we have here? Just one server. All right? So nothing to select. That one is already selected by default. Next. Now, to make a system a domain controller, it just means that you are crowning that server to become the domain controller. The crown that you are putting on the server is called Active Directory Services. That's all you are doing. That's all you are doing. When you are making a server a domain controller, what you're actually doing is you are loading and configuring on it the services called Active Directory Services. No, that's the wrong one. Active Directory services. This one. ADDS. That is the wrong one again. Active Directory. What's wrong with me? I'm looking for Active Directory services.
As a second box.
Mm-hmm.
Active Directory domain services.
Active Directory domains. Okay, it's the same thing. Active Directory services, Active Directory domain services is the same thing. ADDS. But the more common one you hear at interviews, don't be confused though. If they ask you Active Directory domain services, don't say I don't know that one. The one I know is Active Directory. It's the same thing. All right. However, even as we are loading this one, there are two lieutenants that this general would always need to carry along, otherwise he'll not be able to do his work by himself. So you need to add those two other services. They are called DHCP service and DNS service. So these are the three services that you are loading on the domain control, on the server, in order to make the server your domain controller. The services are already part of your server system. All right. So after you click those three, you say next. And then the rest is next, and that is it. And then you say install. All right. So it will now install all your services. Mute yourselves if you don't want, if you're not talking to us. All right. So we'll just complete the installation. And by the time we complete the installation, we'll have and configuration. There are always two parts to it. First, there is the installation, and then there is the configuration. By the time we complete both the installation and the configuration, we would have successfully promoted this server to domain controller. Domain controller means that once we have a domain controller, it means that we have a domain. And the other work to do would be to create another system, another virtual machine that will now join to the domain. In fact, we can be creating as many virtual machines as we want, and then be added them to the domain, thus setting up a virtualized network environment. All right, questions? All right, no question.
I have a question, sir. Sorry,
okay.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, I noticed during the configuration of the domain controller, when you were adding the role, you included DHCP and DNS. So this DC. Is it compulsory that we have to add DNS and DHCP? What if we have another server in the environment and we apportion those as the DNS and the DHCP? Must it be on the domain controller? That's my question.
Yes, at this level, yes, it is compulsory. It must be on the domain controller.
Okay, sir.
Remember that your domain controller is the first machine on your network, on your domain. So the other servers that you are talking about, that you are referring to now, they do not even exist yet. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, true. True, you're correct, sir.
So they do not exist. So why are you trying to solve a problem that does not exist yet? So later on, when they exist, we'll see how we can delegate the function to them. But right now, there's only one man in this whole kingdom. That man is automatically the king. Why are you reserving crown for somebody that's not even on this island yet? So, because it is the king, it's just like one man company. So you are the MD, you are the messenger, you are everything by yourself. So everything is compulsory that at this stage, everything will have to be configured on this server. And even if you say, if you are stubborn and you say, no, I'm not configuring, I'm taking only the domain controller. Even if I did not pick the other two, during the configuration, it will still go ahead by itself and pick the DHCP and DNS, whether you selected them initially or not. But if you have a good understanding, why not just click what you should do? Do you all get that? It's a valid question, but only for people who have gone beyond what I'm showing you now.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so let's come back to class. So we have now installed, I'm not configured, we've installed the services that will convert our server to domain controller. What are those services? Oluwatosin, what are those services that will convert our server to domain controller? Oluwatosin.
Sir.
What are the services?
I didn't get that, sir. I didn't get that. I didn't get that part.
Hafiz, what are the services that we need to install and configure on the server in order to make that server a domain controller? Hafiz Obinde. Philip, what are the services?
The ADDS, DHCP, and DNS.
Correct. Thank you, Philip. All right. So we have installed, and then we have a caution sign there. What does that say? It says post deployment configuration. Promote this server to become a domain controller. All right. But before then, it says complete DHCP configuration. So we say complete DHCP configuration. We say commit, and we say close. That one is done. What else is there? What is there? It says, now that you have installed the services that Philip mentioned, do you want to go ahead to promote this server to become your domain controller? We'll click that, and then we'll follow through. What is the name that you want to call it? First of all, you say, are we adding a domain? Look at this closely. This configuration now. Which of this is correct? Are we adding a domain to an existing domain? Do we have an existing domain? No. This is the first domain.
No,
Do we have an existing forest? No.
No.
What are we doing? We are creating a new forest. So we'll click that.
Forest.
Forest is simply, if you imagine that you are going to have many domains later on, so that all the domains would form a forest, then this is the first domain, the first tree in that forest. So even though it's going to be made up of just one tree, this land has been reserved to be converted to forest. So the correct thing to take here is add a new forest. All right. So what is the number one domain in this forest? What is the only domain? The root domain. All right. So let's call that one TTC mobile. Are we okay? There's no need for .com or something. No need. Or you want to, do we normally add .com?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can add that if we want. Just because domain name normally come in that format, something dot. All right, so TTC mobile. Sorry?
I have a feeling that is not .com. Maybe it's a comma.
That's a comma.
Okay. Don't mind me. .com. Yeah. All right, so we enter that, and then we say next. And then it says, what is the password for this person doing this work? Administrator, of course. Oh, I don't think I got the first one right. All right, so next. Don't worry about this. This is related to the question the other guy was asking. If you already had the DNS, so don't worry about it. As long as next is available, just click. Net BIOS domain name. This also just take whatever it assumes. Don't bother yourself about it. All right, so next is showing now. Next. We're waiting for next to show. Next. Okay, everything I've selected, is it okay? Next. So now you would have noticed that this whole thing is actually so simple, but it's the understanding of what you are doing that is difficult. So we're going to spend time explaining what you are doing, why you need to do it, and where to come up in operations. All right, so it tells me all requisite checks have successfully passed. Oh, good. And I say install. So we're not doing completing the configuration. Even though it calls it installation, I prefer to call it configuration of your domain controller. Any question? Any question? All right, so what is a domain? All right, creating a domain controller. What is the domain that the server is controlling? What's a domain? Anybody? What's a domain?
Like you said, it's the Windows version of Enterprise.
Correct. Domain is the Windows version of Enterprise, the name that Windows calls Enterprise. You are right, correct. So what is the name then that Windows calls non-enterprise? What name did we call non-enterprise network here in this class?
It should be what group?
I already knew it before it came to this class, but for people who did not know it. Okay, so let's close and restart the system. So what name, what's the, for non-enterprise network, what name do we call what name do we call that network? Non-enterprise network is what network? Your network will either come in enterprise form or in what form?
In what group?
Home office.
Home office, small office, home office.
Home office.
So your network will either come in infrastructure in the enterprise form or in SOHO form. SOHO means small office, home office. Yeah, if you say home office, I will take that. All right. So the Windows name for enterprise network is domain. What is the Windows name for small office, home office?
Sole office.
Work group.
Work group. So work group is the Windows name for small office, home office. All right. All right. So anytime you see work group in Windows, I'm not going to explain that anymore. I already explained to you what it means. So the kind of network that I explained earlier on when I was explaining to you the difference between SOHO and enterprise, Windows will call that work group. All right, so our domain control, our server is loading now, but by the time it loads, it will not load as the old system anymore. It's going to load as a brand new system. This time it's coming in as a king, as a domain controller. So it's going to be a different system from the one we had because of the installations that we just completed on. All right, questions? Questions? Mm-hmm. All right, so our server is still loading. Our domain controller actually. Mr. Oladegokeshe. All right, since you don't have questions and the domain controller is still loading, All we just do is with. All we do is just with.
Sir, please, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
When we were creating the domain controller, the installation, the part where we need to add it to a forest or an existing forest or an existing domain. Now the forest part, like an existing forest, what makes that an existing forest? Is it when different domain is it when different
when you already have like 2 domains and you are trying to add a third one, for example.
Okay.
Then the 2 domains would have formed one forest, an existing forest.
Okay.
You want to add a third domain to your forest. You're building your forest gradually. From 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But that's too complex for this class, for right now. So in operations, what we do when we have a forest is we don't use Windows anymore. We go on to use another operating system that can manage forest better.
Okay.
We use Linux.
That means in our own situation, clicking an existing forest would be a mistake then.
Yeah, yes, it would be a mistake. Unless you really know what you are doing. That's genuinely what you want to do. But everything we are practicing here, nothing will require you to click an existing forest.
Okay.
Unless you are just experimenting on your own and what's this thing for? Let me just experiment. Okay. So like I said, the task that I have that should require you to click existing forest to execute, I will not execute with Windows. I have a better operating system to execute such task. But we'll be talking about enterprise server, but that's complex. That'll be outside Windows, outside the Windows Server operating system. All right, so this is still loading. While it's loading, if you have questions, we'll take them. If you don't have questions, then we'll just wait. All right, Control Delete. And now it's showing us TTC Mobile Administrator. It's no longer showing us itself. So we're logging in now to the domain as the domain controller. There's difference. There's difference between the way we are logging in now and the way we're logging in before. Okay, look at the way we're logging in before. Look at what was showing us. This is what it was showing us before we promoted to domain controller. So before we promoted to domain controller, we're logging into this system only one way, to the local system this way. But now we have another way to log into this system, and log into this system as the domain controller of this domain. There is a domain, even though there's only one member of that domain, but it is a domain. So we have 2 systems now. Local system, log in locally, or log in as the king of the domain that the system represents. So in this case, I want to log in as domain controller. So I take this one and I say my administrator's password is. All right, so I'm logging in into the domain controller. All right, so now that we have created the domain controller, that is that. So the next thing I want to do is quickly create another system that I can join to this domain controller, so that we'll have a server and a client. So let me go and create another machine, because we already have this working. This is fine. So we have our ADDS, we have our DHCP, we have our DNS. All right. Questions? It's a class of 30-something people, but it's kind of quiet. Why? Too quiet.
So if you had logged in with the other user, would you still give you the access to the domain controller?
No. No. I'll not be able to do stuff on the domain.
Okay.
I'll be able to run applications, but as far as the domain is concerned, I'll be powerless.
All right, sir.
All right. So I'm not sure I want to teach you something new now because I'm not getting enough feedback from you. You just, apart from Uyo and one other person talking, everybody is just there. And if you already know something, then contribute what you know. Then if you don't know, then you should be able to just make me know that you are there.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I'm seeing some list of services there, ADDS, DHCP, and DNS. My question is, do we have to configure the DNS and the DHCP now, or we wait till we get, till we add client host to it, and it becomes a full domain?
Henry, you are not part of this class. Looks like there's something you just want to go and do, and then you are done. All these questions you're asking me, we have not even done them. Don't ask me questions on what we have done. I've not talked about configuring DHCP. I've not talked about configuring DNS. I told you we have already made this thing the domain controller by installing those 3 services. You are taking me, your questions are outside our range, basically. We'll be doing those questions maybe next week or 2 weeks' time. We have plenty of time. And what we have covered so far, it looks like we are moving too fast. In one day we are moving too fast. So it's not normal to move too fast, either because you are not asking enough questions or because I'm rushing you or something. So I need to relax now and get feedback from you. All right, Samson. Samson was going to say something.
Yes, it's actually, I was going to share this little tips.
Okay.
I know there are some of us that may not be able to download the server file considering the size.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish to inform them that it is also possible to install if you have your CD disk, because that's what I did from my end. I installed from my CD. I do not bother wasting my data. I have the Windows Server CD. I got it in the local computer village here, and I'm able to install through it.
Okay. So how did you install it? Did you have to copy from the CD to some folder?
No, I didn't copy.
Okay.
You might have to make it an ISO file first.
No.
I'm assuming it's already an ISO file. That's why you're able to.
No, it's not. I can show us.
What did you do?
Okay, what I did actually was, my Virtualbox. I was in my Virtualbox. So their option, if I click on the server, depend on my server name, I click on it. So all I do is just scroll down to storage. So I have IDE secondary controller. I just change it to my optical drive. That's all. And when I say start
so
server,
this is what you mean here. Can you see my screen?
No, let's go back to the Virtualbox, sir. The Virtualbox,
I'm already within. Okay, completely. Okay. I was actually speaking. All right. So can you see my Virtualbox? Not yet?
No, I'm still
okay, let me share my screen. All right. So you can see my Virtualbox.
Yes, I can now.
All right. So what did you do from here?
So I want to assume maybe because it's in running state. That's why it's not showing what I want here. You can
we can click a different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've clicked something different. I clicked this. Is it showing now?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, we can look for what.
Okay, if you can give me the permission to share my screen.
Okay, let's try that. After all, we're not using our time, so.
Okay.
Where are you here? Allow record, make host. Let me make you host permanent, temporarily, and then you can now share your screen after I make you host.
Okay.
All right. There you go.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, so you are host now, Sanusi. Can you see?
Okay. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet. It's coming up now on my side.
I want to be sure if you can see my screen.
Sanusi has started screen sharing, but I can't see it yet. It's just saying.
Okay. Okay, I can see it from here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
okay, we
so
can
this
see
is
it.
my, okay, so this is my server.
Mm-hmm.
This is the virtual server I've created. So all I did was just come down here to optical drive. And this is my drive number.
Okay.
I just select OXT as my yes, that's the drive number. In my situation, the second laptop I'm using, I actually have a USB device connected, a USB drive. So it was actually showing there. So I just select my host drive. So if I put CD in this computer now and I click on start, it starts to load from the CD immediately.
Okay. So what was the default
it start
before you change to D drive?
I can't even remember. Okay, it was just like this. Optical drive empty.
Okay.
So I just click here, just drive D. And once I click on start and I have CD, okay, I can try that. I just insert a disk.
All right, that's awesome contribution. So Sanusi is saying that if you have bandwidth issue, internet issue, and you feel it's cheaper to just get a CD for 100 or 200 naira, then this is what you click in order to be able to use that CD.
Okay.
All right, good contribution.
Okay, okay, all right, sir.
So any question on that? All right, so that's easy.
For someone that his laptop does not have CD-ROM drive on copy.
Yeah, you use external CD-ROM. That's what I'm doing on the main laptop I'm using for this. I have external CD-ROM. And that works for me. And that's all I did.
Oh, okay. That's good. All right, so what we're waiting for, okay, you can give me the host back now. Can make me the host again.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, Christian.
Oluwatosin is asking you please grant him access back to the meeting. I think he was logged out.
Oluwatosin.
Yeah. On the platform My Items is asking that you please grant him access.
Okay, let's see. Where's my Oluwatosin? Okay. All right, so he's back in. No, I didn't log in. Maybe his system logged him. All right, so let's look at our system. What are we doing now? Where's our server? What were we trying to do? We've completed this one. No caution, nothing. So what was the next thing we're trying to do? Okay, so let's download the client operating system so that even if we are not able to install it today, by the time we are ready, at least you have it already downloaded. So unless you have this method of just going to buy the CD, the way to download it would be to go to Google. Are you seeing my screen?
No, sir.
Okay, let me share. Screen share. All right, so okay, you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what are we downloading? Windows, not 2016 this time. We're looking for Windows 10?
Yes.
2010 or 10?
10, Windows 10.
Windows 10 enterprise version. It has to be enterprise or professional. Just stick with enterprise, not just Windows 10. Because Windows 10 will support small office, home office. Then Windows 10 enterprise will support enterprise. So look for Windows 10 enterprise. All right?
Okay, sir.
Again, where are you going to download it? $265, $140 something, not those ones. Go to try Windows 10 Enterprise on Microsoft Windows Evaluation Copy. That's what you're looking for. All right? So look for it there and then look for Windows 10 Enterprise Evaluation Copy in 90 days. In 90 days, you're already an expert. You won't need it after 90 days. So that's good enough. ISO Enterprise, that's what you want. You complete that form that we talked about earlier on. All right? For one person if you want, whatever you're using it for. Let me move this so I can scroll down and then continue in English. All right? 64-bit, always 64-bit. Download. So that's how to download the operating system. All right? So after you have downloaded the operating system, now you go and create the machine because you already have an operating system to load it. So let's quickly create one more machine. Machine, new. This time we're creating a Windows
Enterprise Edition.
Let's just call it client, Windows client. And then this is a Windows operating system. It's based on a Windows 2010, Windows 10 64-bit. All right. Next, 2 gig is okay. Same 50 gig is okay. So we created the machine. All right. What about the download? Is it complete? It's still downloading. I need 5 more minutes. All right. So the download is actually, once the download is complete, the rest is actually easy. So let's go back to my machine, start my Windows client, and then the only place to be cautious is this place where it would ask you for where the operating system is. You click add. The one I'm downloading now is not ready, but I have the ones I previously downloaded, so I can scroll down to look for them. Windows, I think that's it, client enterprise, all right? So that is it. I choose that one, then I start. And then the rest is just next, next, next. Remembering to click install, and then remembering to click the Windows graphic, what did they say? Desktop experience. That's just it. All right, so by the time we complete that installation, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll join this client to the domain. All right, install. All right, so that's how to create a Windows 2016 server and promote it to domain controller. And this is how to create another virtual machine and install a client operating system. All right, so that's about it for today. So the rest is just watching. If you have questions, you ask. If you don't have questions, I'll complete this installation before tomorrow so that we can continue to join it to the domain. And once we have that network, we'll now start to administer domains. All right? Questions? Got 8 minutes to go.
So are we going to get the video today or tomorrow?
I will take me like 2-3 hours to put the video up, and then I'll use your email addresses to share the video. So expect email from YouTube. You may have my name somewhere, but try from YouTube so that you can click that link to go and watch the video. You'll not be able to share the video. Not be able to just watch it with your email account.
Okay.
So in another 3 hours, that should be on. But it takes time to convert and upload. All right. So that's about it today. Tomorrow we'll continue, and then Sunday will be the next time after tomorrow. All right. Are you happy with class today?
Yeah, thank you very much,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Very well, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
So the way to make me happy is to go do your own.
Thank you,
Go
sir.
repeat what I have done, and then come up with questions that will make me know that you have practiced. There are questions you ask that I know, this guy has practiced this thing. All right.
All right, sir.
All right. So same time tomorrow then. If you still have somebody who wants to join, yeah, there's still room. We can still take more people. Otherwise, we'll be starting a new class later on. But I have not fixed the date for another class yet. All right. So I'm happy with this. Let's go on with this. We'll continue tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Sorry, what did you say? Okay, yeah. Quickly ask a question.
Sir, I just checked my system information and I discovered that my system is running on 32 bits.
Okay.
What to explain in that case?
But your system is 32 bit, but is your motherboard, your processor, your motherboard a 64-bit architecture? Sometimes it supports 64, but it's not showing. What's your motherboard architecture?
And then send to you on the person.
Sorry?
I can check it and then send to you personally.
No, don't send to me. I will not have time. Now let's quickly look at it here. Look at it. Check this PC on my computer. Then you right click and take properties. And then you see, do you see my 64 here? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, we
System
can.
type, 64-bit operating system. Check your own and see.
Good.
Sorry? What do you see? I can't hear you anymore.
You said the RAM. Your RAM is 32 gig.
Yeah, my RAM is 32 gig. This is about my system, Core i7, 32 gig, and all that. But my interest is your own. I'm a trainer, so I should have a very robust system. Your system doesn't have to be this big. But what is your system type? Let's quickly see that to see.
System type is 64.
It's 64, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, awesome. I already told somebody what to do, so I can't repeat that. Watch the video and you know the solution to your problem. And the person did come back to us to say, yes, I've done it and it's working. Has the person tried it?
I haven't, sir. I will do that after the class.
Okay, so share it on the forum.
All right.
Yeah, it worked. This is what I did, so that I don't have to keep answering the same question over and over, so that this new person can learn from that.
Okay, sir.
All right. All right. That is it. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.